Welcome to week 2 of American Wetlands Month. Today we are at the Upper Tampa Bay Trail, located on Lutz Lake Fern Road. The Upper Tampa Bay Trail Park is a collaboration between the Southwest Florida Water Management District and the Hillsborough County Environmental Lands Acquisition and Protection Program, and has preserved over 1,000 acres of wetland and upland communities. I am Abbie from the Environmental Protection Commission. Today we're going to be here at the Upper Tampa Bay Trail Park. This is a map of the park. So you see the northern phase of the Upper Tampa Bay Trail runs along the west side of the Brooker Creek Headwaters Preserve. And the trail connects to the Suncoast Trail here north of Lutz Lake Fern Road. So let's go and check out those wetlands and communities. Wetland prairies are a rare and unique ecosystem that typically exist between the upland prairies and flatwoods and other adjacent wetlands such as the cypress strands that exist here at Brooker Creek. Prairies are mostly treeless and are dominated by palmetto, grasses, flowering herbs, and small shrubs. Prairies burn naturally every 1 to 3 years, which is sparked by lightning. These areas are maintained by prescribed burns to simulate the natural fires. This part of the prairie has not been readily maintained by prescribed burns, so the woody species are beginning to accumulate. Without fire, woody vegetation has the opportunity to grow and outcompete the sun-loving plants of the prairie. Fire suppression is a significant threat to prairie communities and the rare plants that live there all over the state. Longleaf pines are a very important species in prairie communities. Here we have a baby longleaf pine. It is in its grass pup stage. So during this stage, which it will stay in many years, it develops its taproot, and once the taproot is developed, it will then extend very quickly vertically into a tree. But for now, it just stays in this small stage. So when the fires come quickly through, it will burn up the leaves, but it will protect its growing stem. And that is how it survives the routine fires that happen in prairie communities. Wiregrass, or three-on grass, is another important plant species in fire-dependent communities. It assists with spreading the low-intensity fires. Dead standing trees, also called snags, may seem hazardous, but they are an essential part of the ecosystem. The dead wood provides foraging and nesting opportunities for woodpeckers who create cavities in the snags. The open cavities then become another opportunity for other birds such as wrens, owls, and kestrels. After this past weekend's recent rains, the deeper portions of the wet prairie are now inundated with approximately 6 inches of water. This is the seasonal amount of water that a wet prairie will typically hold. Here we have sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is an aquatic moss, which means it's not only a wetland plant, it is also evidence of hydrology. Box turtles spend a majority of their time being buried in the mud and prefer the shallow inundation and moist soils of prairies. Today we found a native terrestrial orchid, Calopogon. It is also called a grass pink orchid as the common name. And all orchid species are protected due to their commercial exploitation. Spiranthes is a terrestrial orchid, which means it grows in soil, in contrast to many of the other native orchids you may see, which are epiphytic and grow in trees. Carnivorous plants and orchids native to Florida are often commercially exploited. It is important that we leave them in their place and not remove them from the environment to ensure population for the future. Carnivorous plants have developed specialized structures that allow them to adapt to life in these nutrient-lacking soils. Here I'm sitting amongst Sarracenia minor, which is the hooded pitcher plant. It is a native carnivorous plant here in the wet prairie. The leaves of Sarracenia minor are modified to create a pitcher. The pitcher consists of a hood, which protects the internal fluids from being diluted by rain, and the flowers here, they open in the springtime. So what is really unique about these carnivorous plants is that the leaves will not fully open to start collecting their prey until the flower has been fertilized. That way they are not consuming their pollinators. I am sitting amongst quite a large colony of Sarracenia minor here in the wet prairie. Drosera has paddle-like leaves that secrete a sticky dew. When small insects walk across the paddles, they stick to the dew, and the glands that produce the dew begin to digest the organism. Here is yet another carnivorous plant species found in wet prairies, yellow butterwort, Pinguicula lutea. Similar to sundews, butterworts have sticky leaves that help them trap organisms and sequester nitrogen. Here's another cool plant species, Caligula lutea. It is an orange variety of milkwort. Milkwort is a genus of species that is found worldwide that is, in Greek, it means milk leaf. It was anciently thought to increase milk production in cows. The species lutea actually means yellow. And as you can see, the flowers are orange. However, when they dry, they do turn yellow, which is why they were named that way. This species of milkwort already has yellow flowers, Caligula nana. Here's another species that thrives in the acidic soils of the prairie, Vaccinium corbosum, or highbush blueberry. Yes, blueberry, just like the ones you eat in the grocery store, but this is a native variety which provides food for native wildlife. Like this mud turtle, we have reached the boundary of the prairie and are now seeking shade under the Dahoon Holly Swamp. We hope you have enjoyed the tour.